till after the session.
She will be quietly judging you this whole
Of
time.
course, of course. I know. It's like your sister looking over your shoulder, like, what are you doing over there? All right, so it's 1:04. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our second webinar. Sorry, no, first webinar of the new year. So we had so many, and we had a couple in December too. So we'll cover that here in just a minute. But this says NEMRA 24, and it is for NEMRA members and participants. But if you're not part of NEMRA, I think there's still some good content here that you can utilize when meeting with your manufacturers at any time of the year. So I've got Brandy Hoffman on with us as well, so from Be Digital. So Brandy helps us with a number of different marketing items. In this case, she's helping me to monitor the Q&A. So if you have questions as we go, please put them in the Q&A. So some housekeeping notes. Everyone is muted, of course. Please do put your questions in the Q&A. And this really isn't meant to be a training session. This is really just to give you some ideas of what you can do in upcoming meetings with your manufacturers. So hopefully we'll show you some new things that you haven't seen. I think it's be one of those things that almost everybody on the phone will have things that they see that they recognize and very familiar with. And I think some other folks on the phone will be learning some new things. Hopefully everybody gets a chance to learn something new today. All right, so with that, past and upcoming webinars. So we did one in December on the new analytics dashboard. Obviously the one we're doing today, and we have another one coming up on the 19th that John Mitchell will be doing around order reconciliation process. So if you track orders or you want to track orders or just want to learn the process, that's going to be a great session on the 19th. If you're wondering where you can find our webinars, we're going to have a whole series of them this year. So Brandy will be publishing a webinar calendar here in short order where you can sign up for upcoming webinars. Probably be doing them about once a month will be our cadence, variety of different subjects. So be on the lookout for that. You can find them under our resources tab in webinars. And again, or you could just type in URL as it stands there with /webinars. By the way, if you miss any part of a webinar or you're so enthralled by what you see here today that you want to go back and rewatch this webinar, know that you can go onto our learning site and they will be posted there shortly after they are done. So for instance, I had somebody just today ask me where the new analytics dashboard webinar was, and you can find that here. And you can use the search bar there as well. So just know that is available to you. All right, so a quick introduction. I know some of the attendees, but maybe not everybody. So just so you know, this presentation is really coming from the manufacturer's lens because that's my background, right? So I worked for manufacturers for over 25 years. For this crowd in particular, you probably know that meatball at the very top. That's now ABB. So my division of GE is now ABB. But I worked there for over 10 years, so familiar with the electrical industry from that, calling on customers you have today like Sonopar and what used to be GE Supply, Gexpro, et cetera. So also worked at Pentair, which is a pump company, well, has a pump division, so I was head of marketing for them. Then my last 10 years or so with various plumbing companies, Masco and Lixil, which is American Standard, Grohe, and DXV. And like I said, I was with these manufacturers. So I've been on the other side of the table you're going to be on coming up. And I was the VP of sales there, had 26 rep agencies. So I had meetings like you're going to be having in Las Vegas or at other times of the year in regional deep dives and that kind of thing. So with that, our intent here is to help you understand your manufacturer in a deeper manner to provide them with the best information possible. And this part to me is super important because at the end of the day, the more information you can give your manufacturer, the better they're going to be, which means the better they're going to be, which means you will sell more and your customers will be happier. So I know sometimes these meetings can feel a little bit adversarial. My intent here is to give you some things to think about to say, hey, I'm actually here to make my manufacturer better and to show them all the things that we do for them on a daily basis. And so that's the intent. It's also this, to make you look like a rock star, right? So you want to set yourself apart from other agencies out there. And frankly, you also be talking to some new lines, so you want to show them all of your capabilities as an agency. So that's the intent of the webinar. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a story and a little bit of a case study. Okay, so we'll go first 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to do that. Then we'll get into helping you prepare for your line reviews. So The question that I get asked constantly from both existing Repfabric customers as well as prospects is, why is my manufacturer constantly asking me for so much data and reporting, right? And so with that, I wanted to start out with a text that I got from one of my former reps shortly after I joined Repfabric, basically saying, hey, I won't read the whole thing to you, but he wanted to understand more from my inside on the shareholder-driven manufacturer. You know, why are they asking for these things? Just want to get it behind the scenes, and that's hopefully what you're going to see a little bit here today. So, kind of what he says here: consider it my CPMR course through the eyes of manufacturing. So again, go back to that question: why is my regional manager always asking for data and reports? And so I'm going to start here with a quick poll for everybody online. So let me see if I can pull up my polls. And so get ready to answer this one, and it'll be two quick ones. All right, so launching this now. So hopefully you can see us. The question is, how many airlines are asking you for some type of reporting or regular calls to review your activity? A lot of quick answers here. I appreciate it. It's good. Give it another 5 seconds or so because most of you are answering, so thank you. All right, so 17% said 2, and the rest of you, 83% said 3 or more. So this is obviously a big need, right? So they're asking you for reports or data. They want to know what you're doing out there for them, right? So the second question is, let me end this one. Let me go to the second poll question. Which is, you already see the question here. So let me go back to poll 2. Do you have any lines that are asking you to update their CRM directly or for information that they load into their system? This is a little more even split, but interesting, the variety of answers. All right, so it looks like we have about the same amount of people who answered from the last one, but interestingly enough, there are 22% of you said 1, 17% 2, and almost 50% said 3 or more, with only 13% saying none. If you are in that none category, feel good, and just know that you probably won't last in that none category because your manufacturers are going to continue to ask. I can tell you, we put in Salesforce when I was at American Standard, and within about a year, I was asking my rep agencies to start filling it out. So it's coming for sure. So just know that that's there, and I'm going to show you ways today to answer that request. So we'll get into that as we go through. All right, thank you for your participation there. So again, why is your regional manager always asking? Well, he or she is always asking you because this person, which used to be me, right, is always asking them. So I had 6 regional managers that I was always asking, hey, what's going on out in the field? How are we doing with our national accounts like Wind Supply and Ferguson? What's working, what's not working, all those kind of things. And the reason why I did is because I had to answer to this guy, right, the CEO of the manufacturer. And why he wants to know, because he wants to know, or she wants to know what's going on, because guess what? If he's getting good results, no matter who gets mad at him, he keeps his job, right? And so he knows he's untouchable as long as he's producing those results. So that's why they're always asking for all that data. So really what it comes down to is the manufacturer wants data. They want to analyze it, and they want to come up with new ideas, whether those are products or new go-to-market strategies or what have you. That's ultimately what we're trying to do. The other piece why we ask for so much data is because we have to tell our operations team what to build, right? And so I'd go into what we call SOIP meetings, and my operations team would say, hey, what's coming down the pipeline? And unless I had some really good answers, it got to be a pretty embarrassing meeting. So I had to understand what was being quoted, what's the time frame of those quotes, when are they going to get out? So that's really where it comes from. So again, I'm going to go through this from a product introduction standpoint. So as a manufacturer, you get the idea, you develop the product, which can take years, of course. You come up with a great commercialization plan, then you launch the product. And then the question always comes in, well, did it work, right? And this is the frustration that I always had, is I never understood when something was going to work and when it didn't. And so when I asked people, hey, is this working? I always got a few kind of choice responses. And it was things like this. Yeah, if we could have sold more, if we weren't spending so much time doing something else with your product line, or yeah, they like it. If I would have had a better brochure, I could have sold more, better marketing collateral. We've shown it to some people and some people liked it and some people didn't. And the response that I got most often when I said, hey, are you guys going to be able to sell this? Is this right here, right? Trust me. All the time I'd have my rep say, hey, trust us. That's our job to sell this. But when I don't see the results right away, we start asking why. And, or even if we have great success, we don't have the data to tell us why. So how do I know what's needed? What if the product is what is needed in the marketplace? I have many reps just telling us, just ask us. The problem is I have 26 firms and 26 different geographies with different needs. So really, I need to have a much more data-driven kind of conversation. So quick case study here. As a manufacturer, I'm a VP of sales and marketing of ABC manufacturer. I've developed the best blue valve known to the planet and introduced this best blue valve. I have the best marketing collateral. I have all the marketing funds available. I launch it in January 1. And what happens next? I wait a month, orders are light. I've got a ton of inventory in the bag. I ask why. Everything is anecdotal, right? Just trust me, Scott. So with a lack of data, I get frustrated and I start hounding my regional managers about what's happening. And they tell me all the reasons why it's not working without any data. So I have to wait another month to see what's happening. And orders are still light. So I've got a good relationship with my rep in New York. I call him up and say, hey, why aren't we selling the new blue valve in New York? And he says, well, we would have, but guess what? In New York, because they're union, they have to have red valves. Your blue valve doesn't work. I say, okay, well, then I call my rep in California and they say, hey, People's Republic of California, everything has to be green here. Blue doesn't sell, it has to be green. So now I'm out of California and I'm out in New York. So I asked my other regionals, they say blue is perfect, but they don't know why it isn't selling. I asked them if the rep has a commercialization plan or if they're following our plan. They say, I think so. So they tell me, so they think so, that's what they're telling me. I still ask, hey, why aren't the sales coming in? And again, without data, they don't know why. So now it's been over 3 months since launch. I'm not selling it in New York. I'm not selling it in California. So I look at my data and I say, hey, wait a minute, it's selling well in Florida. So why is it selling so well in Florida? I call my all-star rep there and ask her, hey, why are you doing so well here? She basically tells me they got a terrific sales team and they know everybody and they can sell anything. Again, no data, nothing I can replicate in the other markets. So now I'm super frustrated, right? So what am I going to do? As a head of ABC manufacturer, I'm like, I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm going to find a way to get data. So I go out and I implement a CRM system, right? And whether it's Salesforce or Repfabric or any of these others you see here. And now I say to my reps, hey, either you fill out my CRM system like many of you have to do right now, or I won't pay you your commissions. And that's the route I was going down. The problem is for you, and the thing to manufacture, it does not have the right level of sympathy for you guys on this, is that if you have 15 lines, guess how many systems you're filling out, right? And I saw from the data, by the way, I asked this question 2 years ago, and it's going up in every industry. So it's happening for real now. So again, if you don't fill out that line, if you don't fill out that CRM's line, you may not have it anymore. You can just wave goodbye to it because we're going to find somebody else in territory who is. So how do you come up with ways to be proactive in your communication, to demonstrate to your manufacturer that you have the data that they need to really be supportive? That's what we're going to go through today. So knowing you have the right team, knowing your team can deliver results, make sure you have analytics, and make sure how you're being proactive versus reactive. So, and again, I know you don't necessarily like it, but as my dad would say, you don't have to like it, but you have to deal with it. So given that, find ways to give your manufacturer sufficient data. Again, if you did give that data, the good manufacturers are going to use it to create better products, service, as everything I talked about at the beginning. It becomes a better manufacturer, and ultimately you make more commission dollars because of it. So this should be a give-give. Right now, though, so many of us are living what we call this data drought, and your manufacturers, not only you might be leaving them in a data drought, but they also might be leaving you in a data drought, meaning they're not giving you enough data to sell their products. And that's what we're going to address as we get into the things that I would cover if I were in your shoes meeting with the manufacturer. So one of the big things is Create a commission. Know that you and your manufacturer are both aiming for the same target. Not only just aiming for the same target, but you're going to keep score in the same way. So define the scoreboard, understand when you're winning and when you're not and why. So with that as a manufacturer, here's the things I want to know. Business overview. Can you just give me a general sense of who your business is and what you do? How are you performing financially, particularly with my product line? What is your strategy to grow? Do you have defined goals, and are you sending those throughout your organization? Are you sending them down to your salespeople? Do you have intimate knowledge of your customers and geographies? Do you have either a well-defined market share from a third-party source, or even a way to go back and even just understand your basic market share and how you're looking to grow it? Where are those areas of new business? Are you able to measure your return on investment when it comes to your sales activity time? When your people sell, do they sell with purpose? Do they do pre-call planning? And this last one I put on here because it's something I never really thought to ask again, for 5 years, never thought to ask this of my rep agencies. What is your marketing capabilities? How do you get out to customers other than getting in the car and to go see them? So the second thing I want to know is, as a manufacturer, is do you know my business? So do you know which products are most critical for me? Do you understand what the new products are? Are you training your people on them? Are you able to articulate the features and benefits of those products? Again, do you know where the opportunities and the customers are that are going to best sell my product line? And can you speak to the activity you do particular to my product line, not just as a business? Okay. So what I've done is I've pulled together kind of a quick sample agenda that I would use, and we're going to go through 9 of these because a couple of them will be given. But 9 of these are how you'd use Repfabric to answer some of these questions or to demonstrate your abilities in these areas. So this is a sample line review agenda. Again, this will be on this webinar will be on the LMS, but we can get you anything that you want off of this presentation. So here's the basic tenets I'd have of an agenda with a line review. Again, for new lines or for retention, so existing lines. Basic company overview. I'm sure you guys all have this, but believe it or not, there's been times where I've sat in with one of my agencies and they didn't have this in the deck. So I love to see like an org chart, how many other lines you have, what lines are complementary to mine, those kind of things. A basic understanding of your marketplace, right? We talked about that at the beginning just a minute ago too. So make sure we understand that. Now these next few, I'm going to show you where Repfabric comes in. Again, do you have company goals? How are they aligned to me? What is your sales process? Do you have a sales management process as well? How do you track your customer touch points? Do you have a process to commercialize my products? Do you have advanced analytics to monitor your successes or where we need to shore up resources? Are you able to manage your funnel? And can you communicate those to me? Communication to the manufacturer in general, huge, right? So all these great things you're doing for me, are you telling me about them? And is it things that I can learn and take action on them? Are you able to track assets or lend items, right? So, and that's something that may not apply to all your manufacturers, but some of your manufacturers, for instance, in my old world, we had displays. So I'd want to track those. Are you able to track those for me? Another business where we lent out tools. So those are, high dollar items that we want to make sure we understand where they go. So are you able to do those kind of things? And the last thing is, and I was always surprised that rep agencies didn't have this really buttoned up before they came and sat with me. And I'm sure for most of you, you're like, yeah, of course we're going to do this. But are you asking for the products that you need in your marketplace, the collateral you need to market the products, the right pricing structure? I always got complaints about pricing, but good data-driven pricing. And also, if you need problems with deliveries or any of those kind of things. So again, make sure you're going in. This is a mutual beneficial relationship. They're going to be asking things of you. You should be asking things of the manufacturer as well. So again, and I know we had some people just join a little bit late. If you have questions as we go, please throw them in the Q&A. So I'm going to skip over the first 2 here, but I want to go to company goals. And if you're not doing this yet, this is the perfect time of year to define your goals at the beginning of the year and load those into Repfabric, into the goals module. So on your dashboard, you should have your monthly goals displayed, your weekly goals, and really should be by salesperson, should be able to see this as well. So if this concept is new to you, or you just need a refresher on how to build those goals, please go into the LMS. There's a great goals training. It's pretty extensive as far as different things you can do. It'll give you the overview, how you add to the dashboard, how you cascade your goals to your people. That's what we were kind of talking about a minute ago, all those kind of things, and how you can, so there's how you create custom goal as well. So it's not just metrics that are in Repfabric. You can create custom goals like reviewing how many resumes you're going to review in a year or something like that, where you can track those custom goals. All right, so with that, do you have a sales process and are you efficient in it? And what I mean by that is, again, going back to that proactive versus reactive. And one of the things I want to show here, again, hopefully a tidbit, maybe not everybody knew, is you can set up your sales call type, your activity journal type, and you can use a plan, okay? So now you can do a pre-call plan. You can have it to where that plan activity journal type is not communicated on the morning email that you get on activities. So it's not going to show up on your manager's report or even your own report. But this is a best practice we've seen many rep agencies do, where they create a sales plan, let's say on a Friday afternoon, and create several of them for the next week. And what they do, and what I'd love to see as a manufacturer is, oh, you're creating a sales plan where you have complementary product lines to my line. Because this is one of the benefits, as you know, as a manufacturer's rep. Yes, sometimes you feel like the manufacturer wants you to be 100% dedicated to them. But the good manufacturers understand that what you help bring to the table is you have a complementary basket of products, right? And so they should be excited when they see your line card and be like, oh, you have ABC manufacturing. That's great for my line. So let's make sure that we're showing that manufacturer. That's how we do sales calls. We do it with these complementary lines. So again, utilize that pre-call plan. Once your person goes in and has their sales call, they can go in and update this activity journal, and they can flip this type from a plan to an actual call. So, and then it will show up on the morning meeting. So, all right. Do you have a sales management process? So do you have your daily email reminders, your weekly cadence, monthly meetings, etc.? Again, I would just implore you, if you haven't used some of the reports that are native into Repfabric, please take a look at that, because there are a lot of reports here that are available to you, of course, depending on whether or not you're loading your sales dollars and your commission dollars, mostly sales. But you can get a lot of detailed reporting, and you can do it by manufacturer. You can also get all your activity report too, right? So you can see what your people are doing within the system and make sure you have that high adoption. That's going to be so important to you.
Hey, Scott, we've got a question around goals. Charlie asked, when will Repfabric allow for goals on orders?
Goals on orders. I do not know the answer to that one. I will have to find out, Charlie, and thankfully your question will be saved in the Zoom, and I will get back to you directly on that one. I'm not sure on that one. All right. Again, this is just a sample report, the manufacturer product line page. So just know you can do this by manufacturer. So just as you're going into a line review with somebody, I certainly would want to be able to pull up that particular report. Any of these sales reports you can sort by manufacturer. So just know that's available to you. All right, so project tracking and funnel management. So again, this is super important for manufacturers, particularly ones with longer lead times or with erratic ordering, right? Where suddenly you get an order for 500 or something, you usually only make 2 of. And so really the goal for me was to have enough data in my CRM so I could do forecasting, right? And so I need to get what opportunities you're working on from your CRM into my CRM, which is why I'm asking you all this data. So funnel management, there is a funnel management report native in Repfabric. Make sure you're utilizing that. Again, you can do it by manufacturer. Hopefully your stages of your funnel are matching up with what the manufacturer would call that. So again, that could be a communication point. If they aren't today, I'd much more proactively have this conversation during that line review than afterwards, where we say, I'm sending them data that's not useful to them because we call these things differently. So again, these switch depending on what type of manufacturer you are on. Okay, so this is one functionality I want to play out. So because I've had even guys who've been on Repfabric for a couple of years really not necessarily understand this concept. So I think most people on the phone understand activity journaling. Again, we're going to ask you to do that right after the call. That's why we have the mobile app, right? Because we want you to capture all that data when it's fresh in your mind. But know that after you've gone in and filled out your data, like you're seeing here, right? You could actually, once you save it, you can convert it to an opportunity. Okay. Now, I think probably a lot of folks may know that. I know some have not though. So notice you can do this here. You can also do it on your mobile phone, right? So basically going up and hitting that plus sign on that bullseye, right? So convert to opportunity. And so it's going to push all those comments to the opportunity reporting. Okay. And so you're going to actually see the comments that you put in there directly in the opportunity itself once you open it up. So you can open it right from here, and it's going to flip over that screen, and you're going to see the comments that you put in from your activity journal down at the bottom, right? So, and again, here, this is key. This says the Marriott job. All right. So now we know that we have this opportunity for Duravent. It's for a job though, right? So we want to link that opportunity to a job. So if it is, there's a button towards the top. You can see here called link to job. So it's at the very top in the blue. And probably most of you may only have job, not project, but so you can link it to a job. And now you can go in and search the existing jobs by just typing in Marriott or scrolling. Or if you had a new one, if it's a new job, you create a new job right from here. So you can create a new job for the Marriott Hotel. So again, filling out the information on the new job, hit save, and now it's going to be pulled up. So just know that that workflow does exist. And if you're not using it today, I'd highly encourage you to do that. So, and you'll see once you link it, it'll go from link to job to linked job. And now you can pull that job up again. All right. So customer touch point tracking. Again, I got an email just this morning that from somebody who's asking about this particular thing of how do I demonstrate to my manufacturers how many times I'm going out and touching customers on their behalf, right? There's several different kinds of reports to go out and do this, but I'm going to show you one that I liked in particular. Again, this is going to assume that you are using Power BI. So there is a Power BI report called AJ's and Ops by Sales versus Sales by Customer. So you can see, hey, Mr. Manufacturer, Mrs. Manufacturer, here's how much I'm selling on your product line. Here's the activity journals, how many times I'm touching that customer. Here's all the opportunities I have with them on the green line, and a little gray dot's going to show how many quotes I have outstanding with that customer. So assuming you're putting all that data into Repfabric. There's a few other reports that I think are really good on advanced analytics. I mean, again, really depends on what your manufacturer is looking for. I thought this was an interesting one of really doing that AJ and sales by company type. So if you have a line that is a highly specified line that they're expecting you to do the specifications on, it'd be really interesting to see how many times you've hit a specifier for that line, so you can articulate that to them. So again, AJ's and sales by company type. Sales and commissions by year by month, again, sorting that by manufacturer, so you don't have to go through and pull this historically. This is a couple clicks of the button and you're ready to show this to your manufacturer. And then finally, sales average by last 4 months. So you can actually see how you're doing, kind of the trends over the years, if you will. And then, so you can articulate how you've grown with that line or not, if that's the case. Manufacturer communication. Hopefully you guys know how to make a living report. If you don't, great tutorials again in the LMS that can show you how to do it. I've done it a few times myself. First time you do it probably takes you 10 or 15 minutes. If you want to make it fancy, maybe take you a little longer if you want to add logos and those kind of things. But this is something I'd encourage you to do. Whether or not your manufacturer is asking you for reports, be ready to send this to them when they do ask you, because they're going to be asking you. So now if you have a manufacturer that is asking you to fill out their CRM, I advise people, again, I come from the other side, but still as a rep agency, I would have 3 responses to that. I would have, my first response would be no. Maybe you can't get away with that if it's a big line or if it's, it's the right thing to do. If it's a manufacturer is going to use the data, I wouldn't use that response. But if you can get away with no, that's great. The second one, which is I had a plumbing rep tell me this, is that they said, hey, I already have a CRM system. I don't need to fill out your CRM system. I've got Repfabric. It works for me. If you want, I can send you a living report like you see on the screen, and you can upload that into your CRM system. So that's a pretty easy, low-tech way of getting the data they need. And as you know, on a living report, this thing refreshes every time you open it. So you could just set up to where you open it once a month, send it off to your regional manager, and that's going to satisfy his or her thirst for data. The third thing you can do, though, is that they're insistent on you filling out their CRM system, is put them in touch with us, and me in particular, because we have the CRM sync capability. We can sync Repfabric to target systems like Salesforce, which we do today, like Sugar, like that we do today. So we have several manufacturers that we're doing CRM syncing with, and we sync the HubSpot and Dynamics and a few others. So just know that is available. There is a charge to the manufacturer, so it is not a free thing, but know that it is something that we can do. And any good manufacturer, for what we charge them, would be, it's a no-brainer. They actually can usually save money because they don't have to have as many licenses for their CRM systems, particularly if you have multiple people in your rep agency filling out their CRM system. So again, they may not care today, but as far as this kind of capability, but you never know when a new VP of sales comes in or a new CEO comes in. And frankly, that's what happened to us at American Standard. We had a new CEO come in. After about 3 months, he said he wanted to go direct. I said, that's a bad idea. I left the company. And 6 months later, they fired 20 of their 26 rep agencies. So because I think we need to continue to demonstrate the value you guys bring to manufacturers, particularly new people who come in and may not fully understand the rep model. Commercializing lines. Again, a lot of times commercializing lines is seen as the manufacturer's job to put together the plan and your job to execute them. What I'd say is that it would be awesome if you were to go in, particularly if a new line you're talking to, or let's say you're talking to a product manager, and you had a plan to commercialize the line for them. And so here's kind of a sample plan that I would use, starting with contact segmentation. The other thing is obtain their marketing collateral. So that's the big thing that we don't always get from our manufacturers is hey, Mr. and Mrs. Manufacturer, send me the high-res photos, send me the copy you want me to use, send me any links to your websites, or if there's links to, BIM files or those kind of Revit files, whatever they might be. Make sure you're getting on the front end, and then make sure you're training your internal staff so they're ready when you go and do a marketing blitz through social media or email campaigns, that your staff is ready to absorb them. Again, the thing I love about doing email campaigns in conjunction with Repfabric is you can go back and report back to your manufacturer, not just your open rates, which you can do on almost any good email system, but also your engagement rates, how many people clicked on links, how many people open, obviously, and also how you're using those engagements to create things like activities or opportunities or tasks for your team through the syncing of Repfabric to either MailChimp or to AutoClose. So and then the rest of these I think are pretty straightforward, but hopefully a good list that you guys can use in the future. Types of email marketing. When we talked about making sure that you are explaining to your manufacturer your marketing capabilities, these exist today, right? MailChimp, of course, much more of that newslettery, best for mass audience kind of send. AutoClose, much better for that personalized touch email. Those campaigns that last a little bit longer, but very targeted. Again, with both of those systems, you can get feedback to where it'll create activities or tasks or opportunities for your sales team to follow up on. So that's kind of running the air campaign while the sales team is running the ground campaign, right? It's actually giving them their orders from the air campaign. Canned pitches, great way to do, particularly on your mobile phone right after a sales call, is to follow up, on a particular product interest with a canned pitch. Again, make sure you're getting the collateral from your manufacturer. But these are pretty easy to create. I've created them before to show manufacturers how you guys can do these type of things. Then one thing that maybe you haven't utilized, but something I utilize actually, is just doing what I call kind of a quick target email right from Repfabric, where you can go in and into your contact list. And in this case, maybe hard to see, but I typed in Chicago here. So I just want to know everybody in Chicago. And then I can just select all those contacts here. And then I can just hit send an email, and that's going to send an individualized email to all those contacts on there. So again, great when you're like jumping into a territory, you're going to go do ride-alongs, whatever it might be, to be able to touch all those customers very quickly. My response rates on the one I've done have typically been like 70% of people saying, hey, yeah, I can meet with you, or no, I can't, but at least they're responding. So I know that they're getting my communication. So
Scott,
yeah.
Sue asked about the series emails, the one coming from Repfabric. Is there a max number of emails that you can send?
max number of emails from Repfabric, not that I'm aware of, Sue, but I will find out. I know I've never ran into it personally, but I will find out that answer the question. All right. Okay, so with that, last thing I want to show you really on asset tracking. Again, maybe something that you don't need to do, but maybe something that'd be good for some of you. So I'm going to flip over to the LMS and just kind of walk you through lend items. So Brandy, I'm going to call on you to make sure you can see my screen still, but now I'm on the website.
Yep, I sure can.
Okay, cool. So I jumped into tracking lend items on the LMS. So here's how you go about doing it. Go to the hamburger menu, more CRM, and you go to lend items. You click on new and you fill out the form of what the lend item is. So, and you're going to associate with a particular manufacturer. And there's some key things you want to make sure you fill out, right? The part number, serial number if you need it, those kind of things. Watchers, you can be able to make sure other people can see if something gets moved around. You know, like if you're lending out tools to people, your manager might want to know that. So then you can also attach images to them in the library. So you can do that just by adding them from your PC. So you can, if you have images of the thing, you want to be able to see it. And by the way, a lot of people use this not just for tracking assets as it relates to their manufacturers, but they also do it for their own company. So we do this for things like our computers or projectors or any other kind of high value item that you want to make sure you know where it is. Then you can issue that out. So you can transfer that item based using the icon next to the picture, and you can put in comments as well. So then there's different transfer types. So it follows a sequence, right? So was it issued to a salesperson, delivered, received back, et cetera, returned back to the company. So you can actually see the history of that as well. So there's a history button on there. So you can see where this item has traveled to. And you can also do this on the mobile app as well. So currently you can't create lend items on the mobile app, something we're trying to get to, but you can, once it's on there, go in and do it. So I'd say if you're an outside person and you need something added, you know, have your admin for Repfabric put that in for you, meaning your company's admin on Repfabric. And then you'll be able to see on your phone, based on the iconography, where it is, whether it's green, blue, or red. So, and red meaning that it needs to be back. So that's just a quick overview on lend items. Then there's also something called samples, and that sometimes those two things can be confused. Again, lend items are those high valued items that you're going to want to make sure you track going forward. Samples are typically something that you're going to leave with the customer to use. So you're not really going to typically retrieve it, but you may want to associate with a particular opportunity, which means also a particular job, potentially, as you saw a few minutes ago, when you create an opportunity and put it into a job. So you can create samples here. Just go into line item view, and there's a copy into a sample. So you can take the sample and it'll make it as such. So just know that's available. So again, this is the sample agenda will be available to you on the learning management system. Again, two things we didn't cover. The first two things, I'm hopeful you guys have a good handle on that and you'll be ready to talk about those things with your manufacturers. The rest of these, hopefully you'll be able to utilize and show all your capabilities as an agency, particularly with tools within Repfabric. And the last thing is I just ask you, you know, it's kind of like a job interview. Whenever I interview somebody for a job and they don't have any questions for me, I get really nervous, right? Because you should have a lot of questions for your manufacturer, like, hey, I need this new product, or hey, I need this marketing collateral so I can email marketing on your behalf because I'm better at email marketing than you are, Mr. Manufacturer, because people will open my emails because they know who I am, right? And they'll respond to me because they know who I am. And that's what you pay me for, are my relationships, you know? So be ready to come in with ask and be ready to come in and demonstrate all of your capabilities. So I think we're almost at 45 minutes, so 43 minutes. So we kept it there. So any other Q&As?
Yes, we have more questions. You want me to read them off? Can you see them, Scott?
I can read them. Yeah, I got them.
All right.
So is Repfabric having plans? David asked, Repfabric have plans to develop or introduce a module for inventory and warehousing? Short answer is yes. Long answer is we don't have a time frame on this, but yes, we are absolutely. We've had this request several times. Much like one of our other new products, Plant Scan, it will be a separate module, meaning it will be an add-on. It will not be in native to. I shouldn't say not native to, but it won't be like the expenses module where we just give it to everybody. It'll be just for certain people who need it, and there'll be an extra charge for it. We do know that much because there's significant development that's going to be going on with our inventory and warehousing. Do you have options for email templates to be stored in Repfabric? Oof, now I wish I did have Kim on this line with me. There are some templates, particularly canned pitches are kind of their own templates. So I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to or if there's another type of template you're looking for. So Sam, I will get a more detailed answer for you on that. So Charlie asked, we need to track shipping the lend items when we ship them back to our principals. Can we do that? And can we separate closed items, return to principal versus those still in our inventory? Charlie, I think there is not necessarily a way to delineate those two things, but I think in the notes there has to be ways to doing that. So, so let me. But again, I'll get you a more specific answer on that too. Someone said if you send too many in bulk from Repfabric, you risk getting flagged as spam. Okay, did not know that. Thank you for that. So hopefully that answers the question there. And email template are pitches that exist in the company profile. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. There are canned pitches that we have. If you're not familiar with pitches, when you go to a manufacturer in your system, there is a tab for pitches, and that's where you can add those canned pitches like you saw on my phone with the valve on it. And then you can also take the LMS courses on pitches as well. So, and David also said warehousing, the sooner the better. Yes, I know. I'm totally with you, David. I hope to have that soon as well because it's something I think would be a very good complement to Repfabric. So, all right. So we still have everybody in the room. I'm going to give it just another minute to see if there's any other questions. And if not, just remind everybody that this will be available in the LMS. If you have specific questions that you just want to bounce off, feel free to contact me directly as well. Happy to have a conversation with you as you get prepared for your line reviews going into NEMRA. All right, Brandy. I don't think we have anybody else asking questions. So
Nope.
if not, I want to say thank you all so much for attending. I hope you found this useful and would love any feedback, whether it was or was not. Feel free to send me an email directly, scott.stockham@repfabric.com. All right, everyone have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. All right, see you, Brandy.
Bye, Scott.